Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the Thursday NBA slate. We have 6 games tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. Couple of late night hammers in there. But let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Yesterday went well, even though played Jackson on both sides, and he ended up not playing more than 20 seconds into the game. But we hit on DraftKings. It was easier to hit on DraftKings because he was a lot more popular, but we even hit on FanDuel with the 0, which was frustrating with Luka. The rest of these guys could have been a huge night. And then I even gave out a 5 for 5 on prize picks, which I did say kind of looked like a winner and ended up getting there. So good day overall. Can't really ask for anything else. If you guys want to join us, you can visit the website. Link is in the description. Definitely follow me on Twitter for updates. If you play prize picks, I will give you guys at least one pick a day. I do one 5-play flex, or you can even do power play a day. Actually, for the 5 picks, you can only do flex. But I do that every day, and then I post updates on Twitter for core plays because NBA things change from this morning. But let's go ahead and get started with this slate at point guard. Don't expect LeBron to play. He was doubtful yesterday, and they said he was probably going to miss a couple of days, a couple more games at least. Steph Curry coming off of a big game, 67. He's 10-4. It's a great matchup against Sacramento. He got it done in the second half last game, where after he started off the game pretty cold, some sort of altercation with Kevin Porter Jr. kind of sparked Curry, and he just went off in the second half. You have some big questionable names here with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. If DeJounte Murray is out, you're definitely going to want to play $6,000 Derek White. You're probably going to want to play maybe some of the other value picks because they also do not have Jakob Poeltl today. If Trae Young is out, then you're going to be looking at DeLon Wright, who is only $3,600, and he should get a lot more minutes and a lot more usage. So keep an eye on them. Hopefully they both play and we don't have to deal with that. In the mid-range, well, in the second tier, expensive guys, you have Chris Paul, almost 10K. He's fine. He's been playing really well, but they're getting healthier. Jay Crowder returned last game, Ayton returned last game. So probably we'll see less, like 40-plus minutes out of Chris Paul going forward now that they're getting some of their reinforcements back. Westbrook is not my favorite pick at 96. Did have almost have a triple-double last night, but still wasn't great. Still struggling shooting the ball at some of these times. I'd rather go to like Van Fleet at 88. A guy that is going to play massive minutes. They kind of, I guess, 39 and 38 minutes the last couple of games has taken it easy on him after he was playing 42, 39, 42, 41, 40. Well, not a huge stretch where he just played over 41 minutes in all of them. Price tag is still reasonable, and the matchup is, it's a fine one. It's at home. It should be kind of a close game, I would say. Both teams, I expect them to compete in this one. Lowry is questionable, even if he plays. I don't know. He's missed so much time that I don't even know how many minutes he'll play. Probably will still play like high 20s, low 30s, but still 73 isn't a great discount on Kyle Lowry. Cade is also questionable. Fox is questionable. Russell's questionable. We have so much news that we're waiting on this slate. If there's no Fox again, you can maybe look to Halliburton at 85, but he's kind of priced where he should be, maybe a little bit too expensive. Definitely like Derek White either way, but definitely if there is no DeJounte Murray, he would be a core piece. And then in the 5K range, you have the Sumu, who continues to play well and gets you a lot of assists. Kobe White at 55 also makes some sense. But I'll probably go Malik Monk instead. Without LeBron, just more usage for him, more minutes. Struggled last night, but still gives you that big ceiling, which we saw the previous game. And then the value range, you could look at like Corey Joseph. If there's no Cade Cunningham, he would be, especially if he starts, he would be a good value pick. And then definitely DeLon Wright if there's no Trae Young again. At shooting guard, Devin Booker, 93, looks good. He's been on a tear in terms of just shooting the ball and scoring the basketball, putting up like high 20s, high 30s, and the 40s recently, even contributing with the rebounds and some of the other peripherals, which we haven't seen earlier in the season. So he definitely looks good. 93 isn't a crazy great price tag on Booker, but you do get those extra bonuses for 3 points made. And, depending on some of the other news that we get on the slate, it might be easier to get to Booker. Edwards, coming off his worst fantasy game of his life, only 10 fantasy points in 26 minutes, and they won by 15. They put up 130 points, and Edwards only scored 5 of them. So I guess if there's no Russell again today, you can probably look to Edwards. I think he'll definitely bounce back. He probably doesn't want to have 2 terrible games like that in a row. Gary Trent's been the hottest shooter on the planet right now. 5 straight games of over 30 fantasy points and 5 straight, well, actually just 30 real life points, and 5 straight games where he's knocked at least 5 threes down. The price tag is still very reasonable, and he was like the player that Nick Nurse had out there almost the whole game. He played all but 2 minutes in the first half, finished with 41 minutes, and they ended up winning after they were trailing by a pretty large margin, at least double digits at halftime. So definitely like Gary Trent at 61. He's just super affordable. You can go to Klay Thompson instead if you wanted to go to probably a lesser owned option who still gives you a lot of upside. Do like Malik Monk a little bit at 58. Davion Mitchell, if there is no Fox, looks like a good play. He plays starter level minutes, has been getting you 5 or 6x the last 4 starts that he has made. You have Diallo, depending on the Cade news. Some of these other guys are going to definitely benefit, but they did get Jeremy Grant back. They do have Kelly Olynyk back, so they are getting healthier. And then the 3K range, you don't really know what's happening with Duncan Robinson. He's priced way down, but the minutes just aren't there some of these games. But he could look to him in tournaments. I probably looked like Beasley at 37, depending on Russell news. He still looks good either way. Small forward, Butler is questionable. Hopefully he plays. He's 94 if he does play, and there's no Lowry. He looks appealing. Levine is kind of expensive at 89. I don't know if I'll want to try to force him in there. It might be tough to get to today. I do like Andrew Wiggins in terms of just a mid-range play, 67. He's playing the best basketball over the last 3 games that he has all season. It's no coincidence that was after he was named the starter in the Western Conference, after he definitely heard all the players, well, not the players, but the media, the fans saying that he didn't deserve it. So he's trying to make the most of it and definitely trying to prove them wrong. Definitely playing harder than he was, and the matchup is so good against Sacramento, especially a team that turns the ball over at a high clip. Wiggins has been racking up the defensive stats recently with 2 steals, 3 steals, 6 blocks in his last 3 games. Definitely can rack up some of those against Sacramento. I guess you can look to like Morris Sr. The minutes on these Clippers guys are just super tough to project, because one night you have Reggie Jackson play like 18 minutes, and next he'll play like 34. One night Morris will play like 35, and then he'll play like 27 and 23. It's just tough to kind of predict. They're playing a lot of bodies right now. I guess one guy that has been kind of consistent was like Amir Coffey, who's playing really well. But they are not my favorite team to target because there's just so many options on the team. I guess maybe if Zubats is out again, then you can look to like Ibaka. But right now I don't see forcing any of these Clippers guys that are mid-range plays just because you don't really know who's going to go off. Power forward, I definitely like DeRozan. He's been playing great at 92. You can go to Siakam on the other side. If there's no Cade Cunningham, I look to Jeremy Grant. And this is his second game back after missing like over 2 months. He came back and played almost 30 minutes, which was a good sign. Got 17 points, didn't really contribute with the rebounds or the assists, but if there's no Cade, you're still getting a nice discount on Jeremy Grant, and he could get over 30 minutes, which I probably would expect. I'm going to go ahead and plug in John Collins as 63. It's just a very appealing price tag. His price has come way down. The Hawks are getting healthier, so they have just a lot of bodies, so we're not seeing Collins play his normal like 34, 35 minutes, unless he's playing really well, which he'll probably force his minutes in that situation. But against Phoenix, he did put up 41 against them earlier. He shot the ball incredibly well, so you don't really expect that happening. But it's a spot where he's going to be matched up against like Jay Crowder, some of these other stretch fours that he should have the advantage over in terms of just size and strength. And the price tag on him is definitely reasonable. We don't have too many other great options in that range besides like Jeremy Grant. But I like Collins more than Sadiq Bey, more than Harrison Barnes, more than Morris Sr., more than Keldon Johnson. Vanderbilt gives you upside, but also same kind of concern with Collins. He probably has more concern in terms of the minutes are definitely not there every single night. Hasn't really played over 30 very regularly. Every once in a while he will. But I guess you probably want to make sure that Russell is out. That would open up slightly more minutes for Vanderbilt, depending on how he's playing. Olynyk is 5K. He came back, but still want to see about the Cade news before I kind of target some of these Detroit guys. But I'd look to Grant for sure over Kelly Olynyk because they still have Trey Lyles and they played him a decent amount of minutes over Olynyk last game. And then for a value pick, you have like Czech Metu at 39. He played well yesterday, even though he shot just 3 of 10. If there is no Rashawn Holmes, if there's no Bagley today, who is questionable. He was ruled out for yesterday's game. We haven't got his updated status yet, so I wouldn't be surprised if he misses on a back-to-back set. Then you have Crowder at 42, who came back, didn't play a ton of minutes, just 25, but every once in a while he'll give you a decent fantasy game. So he's definitely worth some shots if you needed a cheap option. And then that is mainly it. Did have a good game from Harkless last game, but don't know how much you can trust that. Maybe if Terrence Mann starts again, you can look to him at 38, but still, just so many options on the Clippers side. At center, we have Vooch at 91, looks appealing. Davis looks good. You definitely can go Cat. Probably rank a Cat than Davis and Vooch. I don't really like, probably Siakam looks okay, but he probably looks worse than the other guys, even though he does play a lot of minutes. But now that Toronto is a lot healthier, I'd rather go to Van Fleet and Gary Trent, and then pay up for $9K for Siakam. Capella's price tag has also come way down. Him and Collins' price has just completely fallen. I guess Capella, just the minutes aren't really there. They're not playing both Capella and Collins on the floor together as much as they were earlier in the season. He still gives you a lot of upside, so he's still in play for tournaments, but it's still definitely riskier. But the price tag might make you want to take a shot there. Then you have Vanderbilt, we mentioned. Holmes at 5,000 looks okay, but Golden State, you don't really need to play a big against them for too long. Sometimes they decide to go small like they did last game in the second half. And then Ibaka would be a great play if there is no Zubats again. Right now, I'm going to go with the value pick, and that's from San Antonio with them missing Jakob Poeltl and Jock Landale. Drew Eubanks is going to play a lot of minutes today. Should probably start. And if he's not infallible or anything like that, I expect high 20s, low 30s in minutes for Eubanks, especially against a Miami team that plays big with Adebayo for 33, 35 minutes. So we have almost $6,300 left for the rest of the three spots in terms of just a first kind of look here. You can go to Scotty Barnes, Bridges at the guard position if you needed somebody like that. I think Klay Thompson is probably going to have a good game at 6K after getting the last game off for rest, which a lot of the other starters did as well. So you definitely can go Klay Thompson, or you can go Derek White. Even Malik Monk at 58 gives you upside there. Right now I'm going to plug in Derek White. Just looks like a good play anyways. That game is starting at 8:30, so we might not get the DeJounte Murray news. But hopefully we do, just so we can kind of make sure we feel good about Derek White. Feel good about him even if Murray plays, but definitely looks a lot better if Murray is out. I'm assuming that he's going to get at least 34, 35 minutes today as usual. Does shoot the ball well, shoots the three well. At least recently he's been shooting the ball better than he did earlier. He started off the year just terrible shooting, but definitely has worked harder the last couple of months to bump up to 42%. Still hits his free throws up to over 30% from distance. So a guy that normally was high 6K, 7K for a lot of the season, getting a good price tag at only 6,000. So that's about it for the DraftKings side. Let's go over to FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, point guard plays. Murray is 10.5. It's kind of risky right now to plug him in just because we might not know his status. You do have great price tags on Steph Curry at 93. Definitely Trae Young looks appealing if he does happen to play at 9,000. Right now I like Van Fleet. Fox is questionable. If he's out, definitely you can go to Tyrese Halliburton at 76. Russell, if he plays, looks good at 7K. Derek White looks good because there's not too many other options that are actually healthy right now at this point. Then you have Reggie Jackson, looks okay, but I'd rather go Davion Mitchell if there's no Fox. And Corey Joseph, Kobe White look like good value picks, especially Kobe White. If Cade plays, I don't really want to play. Definitely not going to be playing Corey Joseph. That's only a play if Cade happens to be ruled out. And then you have DeLon Wright, depending on the Trae Young news. At shooting guard, I do like DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler at their price tags. Devin Booker's in the mix as well. In the mid-range, you have a much bigger gap on FanDuel than DraftKings between Zach LaVine and DeRozan. DeRozan's been way better in terms of just peripherals. LaVine has been a lot more of just a scorer. But 77 looks good for LaVine. Halliburton will look better than LaVine if there is no De'Aaron Fox again today. And then you have Klay Thompson a little bit harder to get to. Malik Monk a little bit tougher to get to. So looking for a value pick here. If we had one, it was I do like Coffey just because he has shown a lot of ceiling and they do like to give him a lot of minutes. He's been having an incredible shooting month. But I'm going to plug in Kobe White at 48. He still plays high 20s, can potentially get into like the 30 or 31 minutes. Price tag is just really cheap at 48. And they're still missing Lonzo. They don't have Caruso, so there's still a good amount of minutes, even though they do have DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Vooch carrying the team. Still minutes for guys to come off the bench and still produce, and Kobe White does get a lot of usage. I do like Buddy Hield as well. He's only 47. Didn't think of the day we'll see Buddy Hield at that price tag, especially with Fox not playing the last like 5 or 6 games. Buddy Hield's minutes have not been there some of these games, but definitely against Golden State, I think he will want to show out against them. So I do like taking a shot on Buddy Hield today. Small forward, DeRozan looks great. You can go to Edwards depending on the Russell news, but I do like Wiggins a little bit. Looks better on DraftKings, but not too many great options on FanDuel at this position. You have Scotty Barnes, looks good. Bridges coming off of a 51-point game, but I don't know if I want to chase that. And then at the bottom here, you have Morris at 52. I guess you could take some shots there. Prince had a huge game last time, but I don't know how much we can trust that going forward. And I do like Buddy Hield at only 47. Just really cheap for him, and I do think that he can probably fill it up and get you at least like 24, 25 fantasy points. Upside is still there for him to get over 30. So going with the White and Buddy Hield as my 2 value picks, that give you a good amount of upside if they both can get hot shooting. Power forward, Collins looks okay at 74, looks better on DraftKings. Davis looks good at 96. Then you have Scotty Barnes at 64. Looks like a guy that we can try to get to. Going further down, you still have a good price tag on like Rashawn Holmes and Morris, so I mentioned. But Eubanks at 45 still looks like a good pick. He's going to play a lot of minutes today just because they don't have both of their other centers. And then speaking of center, you have Towns at 10-2, Davis at 96, and then Vooch at 87. Now, Vooch has a chance to really have success in this matchup just because Toronto plays small at the 5, so he's going to be matched up against Siakam. So he does have some of the size advantage there. Siakam probably has more strength than Vooch, but being able to see over the top of his defender, not having to really muscle for rebounds. I do think Vooch will be able to get a lot of rebounds today, definitely get a double-double. And 87 is pretty affordable. Still leads you at 72, so going with these value picks, these 3 value picks leads you to pay up for whoever other stars you want, and we're still waiting for a lot of news, so I would expect this slate to look a lot different by the time we get to 6 o'clock. But that's about it. This video has been kind of long enough. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all next time.